Dude, I'm so excited for you.
Listen to that!
Good morning, everybody. Today we are talking about the Matrice 350 RTK. Very expensive drone, but it comes with very valuable assets and a lot of opportunity with this drone. We are going to dive into this. Let's get into it now. And welcome, by the way. Welcome to the video. I hope you enjoy it. Stick around all the way through. You're gonna see some pretty cool stuff. You're gonna see what this drone can actually do. So the first thing you need to know about this drone is that it is the most expensive drone that you will use for anything other than agricultural purposes. The second thing you need to be aware of is that this drone does not come as an easily portable drone. This drone has three cases. You have the case for the drone, you have the case for the batteries, the battery charging station, and then you have your little case for your camera gimbal as well. So you might ask me then, why are you even showing us this drone if these are the issues with this drone? Well, this drone has a lot of advantages and opportunity that you can take using this drone as well. Most effective fail-safe features: fly in any type of weather. You'll see this thing flying in crazy conditions. It's possible. You just gotta do your risk assessments first. The third and final thing to mention before we dive into this comes with a DJI RC Plus smart controller. What that means is that this has the most expensive DJI controller I have ever seen. And that's not all. This drone also has a flight time of up to 55 minutes, as well as a radio range or a transmission distance of up to 8 kilometers. Having said all of that, let's go ahead and look at this drone in detail now. Let's dive into the pros, the cons, the benefits, the downsides, and what you might use this drone for.
The idea would be to set it up, get that on camera.
And then you turn it.
Wait,
So you press this and then you turn it.
I press what? This?
No, this. And then you turn it. Make sure you hold the camera, it's gonna fall.
Okay, so.
And then you turn it there.
The first thing we need to start with is the actual drone overview. Why did DJI make this product? This is their official flagship drone, their most recent incredible progress drone is what they would call this. This drone is literally meant to be a tool for companies to use to get the best footage and the most secure flying when it comes to drones, which we'll talk about down the line. It's got the best fail-safe, it's also got the best payload capacity, and in terms of portability, you're not going to find something better in terms of for surveillance or anything like that. Agriculture is different. Agriculture is completely different drones. This is looking at surveillance, security, anything with camera, eyes in the skies. Okay, that is the focus of this drone. Specifically, if you're doing anything at night. Nighttime is where this drone shines. It's got a bunch of different camera modes. It's got a bunch of different tools and utilities for you to use to help you manipulate this drone efficiently, effectively, and intuitively. So let's dive into this thing. I'm also going to be doing just a little bit of a comparison between the M350 and the M300. Why did they add this 50 onto this one here and this one still is at 300? First thing we're going to do now, I've got open here the specs for this drone. Link to the specs will be in the description below. So if you want to, if you don't know how to figure it out, just go to that link there. First thing you need to know is that the dimensions of this aircraft, I'm not going to read out the exact numbers, okay, but what you need to know is that it is a very big drone. It's a very big drone, okay? When I'm talking very big, I mean it's the length of my arms out like this, and you do that both ways. Everything does fold in, so the propellers fold in, the landing gear comes off, and that makes it a little bit more portable, especially because as you buy this drone, it will come with a case, and that just improves the portability tenfold. You do have a main case which allows for that portability, but it is not a portable drone. The other thing is the weight. This drone weighs a hecton, and this is important. Normally I wouldn't call this out, but this is a big drone, so it is important. Why? Because depending where you are operating, here in South Africa, we know that this needs to be registered in order to fly in any capacity. But depending where you are, FAA, CAA, or even a country that might not be jurisdictioned by either, you're still going to have to see and figure out if you can versus can't use this drone. Once you figure out if you can, you need to find out how you can do that legally. The operating frequency of this drone, it operates in multiple frequencies. So the most common that we all know is the 2.4 to 2.4835 gigahertz spectrum or band. So it can operate within that. So 2.4. Then you've got the 5.1, the 5.2 gigahertz, and then you've got the 5.725 to the 5.8. You can cycle through those three. The 2.4 is going to give you more distance but less accuracy and maybe a little bit of a slower connection. The 5.15 might be that sweet spot. However, that 5.15 might also be an illegal frequency in some countries. Similar with that 5.8. Generally, countries don't want to go beyond that unless they are a more advanced country aware of your operating frequency regulations and limitations as well. The other very important things to know about this drone, these are not necessarily specs, but they are capabilities of the drone that are very important to know. Max flight time of 55 minutes. Please remember that 55 minutes max flight time was recorded with a specific speed of the drone. Is not saying it was going max speed. Number 2, it was recorded in no wind conditions. And number 3, it was recorded until the end of the battery. So you're actually more likely to look at a flight time of about 35 to 45 minutes, okay? Depending how safe you want to be, how much of a reserve of battery you want at the end. 35 to 45 minutes. That is going to be your flight time. It also has a crazy transmission system. This transmission system is called the DJI O3 Enterprise transmission. Now, you don't need to really know what that means. All you need to know is that that transmission system has the ability to go up to 20 kilometers before it cuts out its radio frequencies. Okay, so that's a very, very hectic thing. The reason this can only go 8 kilometers is because it's still got a bunch of other stuff connected to it. Things like cameras, things like other frequencies have to connect back and forth, okay? This also uses the DJI RC Plus controller. I know that in the intro I was like, which is the most expensive controller? It's true, it is, but it is also the most effective. And when it comes to price versus what you get, this controller it might be the best you can, provided you can afford it, okay? But it's actually a controller that I'd actually say, yeah, it might be worth the money. This drone also will have approximately 400 battery cycles. Also got 6 directional sensing and position on every single side of the drone, including top and bottom. There is direction sensing, position sensing, and also obstacle avoidance. This obstacle avoidance of this drone is the best I have ever seen. It can pick up wires in the sky, and it can do this at night as well. This drone is most certainly the safest drone you could possibly buy. You can even use it for night operation. It is built for the purpose of day and night operation. It has night vision and FPV camera, as well as multiple other camera modes, which we will be diving into later. And it is a multi-payload supporter. That means you can choose if you want to put your gimbal, your camera and gimbal. You can choose if you want a horn, a blowhorn, or if you want a spotlight. If you want to get one of your own things and attach it somehow, you can look to do that. But this thing can take multiple payloads, and it comes with 3 standard. The horn, I think it's the horn, the spotlight, and then the camera gimbal. That's just a little drone overview. I could mention the cons as well. The little bicky cons would be the price and the lack of portability. Okay, those are literally the only cons, but they are musa expensive cons. I mean, they're very, very big cons, dude. Many, many, many pros, but are we going to use every single one of these pros? If we're not going to use every single one of these pros, then the cons are going to outweigh the pros, and that's just the facts. I forgot to mention that there are two more specs that are very, very important. Okay, yes, we could look at operating temperature, but I don't actually need to for this. Why? This will operate in literally anything. Literally anything, and I'm not even kidding, this will fly it, okay? Weather resistance, wind resistance, actually wind speed resistance here is, they say it's 12 meters per second. This thing could handle a lot more than 12 meters per second, but A, for the purpose of safety of your most expensive drone, and B, in order to capture stable footage, it must be 12 meters per second wind or less than that. And your max flight altitude is 7,000 meters. That is referring to mean sea level, 7,000 meters above mean sea level. So wherever you are in the world, you first need to measure your height above mean sea level. Then you can see how much left you can go for your drone to go high up. However, bear in mind that the regulations might prohibit you or prevent you from going even an eighth of that high up. Definitely do your research. Here in South Africa and for CAAs around the world, our ceiling is 400 feet, and that is only 120 meters. The last thing I want to talk about is that this comes with IP55 protection rating. It's got weather protection units built in all around it. They're called weather sealed connectors. What does this mean for this drone? Number one, it means that if you're going to buy this drone, you should definitely be using 90% of the pros, otherwise the cons will outweigh the pros. Number two, the purpose of this drone is to have a camera in the skies. 90% of the time, that's the purpose. However, you can use it for spotlight. So if you want to provide light to people, you can also use it for nighttime flying, where you put the spotlight and you use the built-in thermal camera, because that's also a possibility. Essentially, what I'm saying here is the application of this drone needs to be eyes in the sky. That is what you're going to use this drone for, and especially if you want to use it for safe automatic flying or nighttime flying. And last but not least, weather. If you are going to fly this thing in any sort of weather or external conditions that might impact or affect this drone, what I'm talking about is, yes, we can fly it in snow, yes, we can fly it in rain, but firefighters can use it to fly in their conditions and get the job done. Water from the hose pipe, it doesn't matter, okay? Not even on the remote controller. It is also weather protected. Fire is the only thing that's a little bit dangerous. You could potentially fly this thing through a fire, but it would have to be very quick, especially because it's got freaking giant batteries on the back. That's where this can shine, as long as it can fit where it needs to get. There's one more thing I wanted to mention, and that is the comparison. The comparison between the M350 and the M300. Probably the biggest thing right now that I can see is that the M300 had IP45 versus the M350 has IP55 weather protection, which means that it can operate in even higher or lower temperatures and even worse weather conditions. This drone is also sandproof. Take it to the beach, take it into a sandstorm, a dust storm, it doesn't matter. This thing was gonna fly properly. This remote control, the DJI Plus smart controller, has actually been used since the M30, the Matrice 30, which we will do another whole video on at some point, but it is interchangeable with those drones. However, with this drone, I believe that it only operates with the DJI RC Plus smart controller. So if you are going to get this drone, which is the most expensive drone, you are also going to have to get the most expensive remote control. However, when you buy this, you can obviously buy the fly kit, which will come with a couple batteries, the cases, and the remote control as well. When we go back to that comparison, the M300 has your basic smart controller, your DJI smart controller, versus the M350 with the DJI Smart RC Plus. The RC Plus is number one, much bigger. Number two, it is more durable. Number three, it is heavier to hold and bigger to operate with. Okay, so bear that in mind. This controller here is much easier. This controller is much bigger. You're gonna have to operate and hold it properly. There are also more buttons everywhere, which obviously, of course, means more options, which means you can also make this thing a little bit more intuitive for you to fly. But bear in mind, it's gonna take you time to get used to this remote control. Before you go and fly this drone, you most certainly should have a full day prepped, where you take this drone somewhere and you just practice flying it, do your first time setup. The other thing about this drone, there's always more, is that this can be operated by 2 people at once. One person operating, actually flying the drone, being the pilot, another person operating the gimbal, operating the payload, operating whatever it is that they need to operate. We're not done talking about the remote controls yet. If you are currently an M300 owner or operator, and you don't want to upgrade your machine, but you do want to upgrade your remote control, DJI has made this an interchangeable remote control. So it might need to be used with the M350, but it can also be used with the M300, and as I said previously, the M30 as well. Of course, as a result, it also means that the RC Plus controller can be bought separate to any entity. This drone's transmission system, as we discussed just now, it's called the OcuSync 3 Enterprise transmission. What that means is that this drone has not 1, 2, or 3, but it has 4 built-in antennas around the whole drone. DJI has gone all out when it comes to transmission. This OcuSync was just the first step that they took. They went beyond the limits. They said, how can we make this thing even better? How can we make it fly even further? And they even went so far as to get to the nitty-gritty of the composition of the propellers. Propellers have a habit of interfering. I'm not even kidding. These propellers are a new material, believe it or not, will not cut through your radio transmissions. This drone also enables triple channel use. That means you can have 3 camera modes going at the same time, as long as you have the ability to store those camera or that footage on their own respective things. I think this even can store all 3 on the same SD card. So you just gotta slide your SD card in and enable your camera modes, and those will store onto the SD card. Alternatively, you can use them on your RC controller. You can actually see the cameras. However, I think the RC controller, you can only see 2, but I might be mistaken. However, if you do only want to use 1 camera mode at a time, that's completely fine. There are multiple camera modes to choose from. And how do you swap between them? Pretty easily, actually. All you've got to do, it is called seamless swapping. It is called seamless swapping because all you need to do is press buttons. Set up your remote control, decide which button you want to swap, unless DJI's decided for you, and go ahead and swap by pressing the button. You've got all these amazing camera modes. You've got infrared, you've got thermal camera, but you've also got your basic camera. Of course, this basic camera is what you'll use in your daytime surveillance operation. So if you want to just be a daytime operator, you might not want to get this drone. The M300 might be the better option. But if you want to operate in bad conditions, or you want to operate at night, or you want to get the best zoom or camera quality, this is a seamless 1080p download. I don't know if it's on a 2.4 or a 5.8 gigahertz band. I think it is the 5.8, and I think that's why this has a max 8-kilometer transmission distance rather than up to that 20 kilometers that we spoke about. Beyond all those other capabilities that these locking mechanisms have of this drone, the IP55, the O3 transmission syncing, all of that great, fantastic stuff, this goes one step further. Your M300 also had these locking mechanisms. However, it never had safety features behind these locking mechanisms. You just slide it on and hope that it's locked. This, you slide it on, you lock it, and a magnet will keep it locked. So this takes safety to that next level. There are many other safety features. I'm not going to go through all of them, okay? What you need to take away from this that I'm saying now is that if you want to fly the most safe you will ever fly, you're going to get this drone. But just a nice little heads up for you so you can understand just how safe this drone is. This drone, before taking off, calibrates itself. It recalibrates, or it doesn't necessarily calibrate itself, but it checks itself. And this includes the locking mechanism. If it senses that this magnet of this lock is not fully operational right now, it's not fully magnetized, it will not take off. Beyond that, the RC Plus smart controller will tell you in the top left, it'll say, can't take off, blah, 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 is not operational. If you are still operating an M300, Or if you've upgraded to the M350, but you don't want to buy all the extras like gimbals and cameras and stuff, if you have M300 payloads, this is fully usable with any of the previous M300 payloads. Any of those cameras, any of those gimbals, you can slap that onto this machine and it will use it perfectly fine. This drone will come with different cameras. It's got 3 built-in cameras and one that you can slap on to the bottom as well, the actual camera and gimbal with the optical zoom and all of that amazing stuff. This camera is really phenomenal. The camera alone is super duper expensive. But if you're wanting to do things like LiDAR, for example, or aerial surveying, for example, LiDAR, you would use the L1. An L1 is just a camera system. It's just its own camera gimbal system that was used on the M300, which you can now put onto the M350. Aerial surveying would be the P1 system. And there's multiple other systems. Your payloads are interchangeable with the Matrices. Speaking about portability, I know I said that this drone is not a portable drone. However, in comparison to the M300, the drone itself is very portable. Why do I say that? Because the M300 case is much bigger than the M350 case. However, the M300 did not also have a camera bag and a battery station. I mean, you may have used that, but it wasn't a necessity. You could charge your batteries, you could just carry your camera. It is also easy to move around. Why do I say that? Because the wheels of this new case that they've built are 360-degree wheels. That means doesn't matter what you do with this bag or how you turn or twist it, it's just going to follow you on those wheels. When it comes to portability of the batteries, it is very important to note that you can only charge these batteries in their giant charging station. That case is how you charge your batteries. You plug a power supply in, you plug it into the wall, you turn it on, and you fit your batteries in there. However, you can also fit 3 pairs, in other words 6 batteries into the drone bag as well, the drone container. You can fit in the drone 2 pairs, you can fit under the drone 2 pairs, and you can fit in the one side of the bag 2 pairs of these batteries. Okay, cool. And by the way, just a heads up in terms of terminology, the name of these batteries in particular are called TB65. The battery station of this drone also has a lot of its own features, including having fans built into the case that as you are charging your batteries here, the fans will blow, keep the batteries nice and cool. There are many other features to this battery case, but I'm not going to go into them now. We are now going to talk about why. Why would you buy this drone? What would the applications be? In what position would this drone be the best to use? The first one that comes to mind, most specifically and very important, first responders, night security, things where you need emergency response and you need a nice, quick, like it's efficient. It is a very efficient drone. Hot swappable batteries means you can just take in and out. The charging station means that things are charging as ready for you to go, waiting for you to go. The charging station being optimally designed allows for the batteries to charge at the fastest rate they possibly can. This drone is an efficient drone. And if you are a first aider, a first responder, night security, police, firefighter, whatever it is, even anti-poaching, this would be spectacular for that. Because it's got the night vision, it's got the anti-weather, it's got the hot swappable batteries and the optimization for quick and efficient use. It's a very effective drone if you need to be in a rush and you need to get things going at a very quick pace, especially in poor or damaging, devastating environmental conditions. Alternatively, what you might want to use this drone for is if you are doing some surveillance. If you are doing surveillance, especially if it is security surveillance, where you have a drone in the sky 90 to 100% of the time, because that does happen, you should probably look at getting a couple of these for yourself. You'll never have to fly 2 drones at once because this one can do what you need it to do. However, depending on the size of your property, you might want 2 of them. Then again, this one has amazing optical zoom, so if you really need to, you can zoom in to specific points and see what you need. And the third and final application, or most effective application for this drone would be nighttime operation of any sort and any caliber, and I'll throw in here as well any bad weather operation. This drone, no other drone, this drone is the one that you want to get. So that was your introduction, your very massive but very worthy introduction of the M350 RTK. Okay, so the last thing I want to mention about this drone, two last things. The first one is that I work at a school, and this school actually specializes in selling, getting ownership of, and transferring ownership of these specific type of drones, these giant drones. All drones, but it's hard to do that with these drones. I am at a school that does that, so if you want to do that, please hit up in the comments and we can arrange that. Alternatively, if you want to check out links in the description below, I have got links to where you can go and actually purchase this drone for yourself. Go and check it out. I just wanted to give you an overview of this drone, where you might use it, how you can use it, and comparing it to other things with the pros versus cons. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope you found it informative. Thank you very, very, very much for watching all the way through. I really appreciate it. I'm humbled and blessed to be where I am today, to be your instructor today, and to be your instructor of all my students. I have students all over the place, and you guys all rock. So thank you very much for being awesome students and awesome people. And I will see you. Oh, and also my Cogta students. I know that this is going to take away from like everyone, but this is for you, dudes, because I know you've got your M350 course happening this week. That is why I'm pushing. This is literally Monday morning that I am filming this thing for you guys. I now have to go and freaking edit this stuff and put it together and make it look good, make it look professional, make an actual YouTube video of this. But I really hope you guys appreciate it. If you did, of course, my Cogta dudes, I would appreciate if you go ahead and check out the other videos. Maybe you want to check out the Udemy course, although I think you've all done this already. As well as you can just go ahead and like, subscribe, leave a comment. Definitely leave a comment, because I want to hear from you dudes, man. I haven't heard from you guys in a while. All right, I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.